everyone. First of all, I'm going to introduce the presenters and then we begin with the performance, okay? José Luis López Caraballo holds a BA in Spanish from the Universidad de Pamplona and a postgraduate diploma in English teaching from the Universidad del Norte. 16 years of experience as a teacher and teacher trainer at Centro Colombo Americano in Cartagena and Fundación Universitaria Colombo Internacional. Consistent GPA group, teacher research, and successful Asocopi presented in 2011. Sergio Alberto Mesa Padilla holds a BA in journalism from Universidad Autónoma del Caribe, master's degree in education from Southern Wesleyan University in SC, Corson, another master's degree in applied linguistics, Univer, one time Facaes teacher at Colombo Americano and Colombo Cartagena. Successful Asocopi presented with a project-based introduction demonstration in 2011.
Okay, good morning guys.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Good.
All right. After Colombia won the game last night, I guess, so it's a great morning today. Okay, I've seen that there are different conversations on communicative competence and they always attract people for some reason. However, we do not intend to give you further information on communicative competence. Rather, we're going to just help you understand what it is and how you're going to evidence communicative competence on textbooks. That's our intention this morning. We're going to give you the theory and then we're going to show you the samples that we have found in the different textbooks that we follow at the Colombo Americano. How many did we use? Different ones. Touchstone and what was the one? Savage. Yes. So those two. It doesn't mean that you're not going to find evidence on the other ones. You will, but we just chose those two special. Okay? So welcome, and we hope that you enjoy this presentation.
Okay, we would like to start with the model that we're using, okay? There are different models, as Sergio mentioned before, but we started using the Bachman model. And in the Bachman model,
The light?
We are video recording, and the light is going to be very, it's going to be diminished. At least that one.
Okay.
At least that one.
All right.
It's better.
Okay, so we start with like definition. According to Del Hines and Bachman, there is a combination of definitions here, and you can read it there. Something that is evident here and has to do with Congress this year is English variety, especially here when he mentions not the ability to use a language likely as a native speaker does, which means English variety. So they started mentioning that many years ago. It's not new, and they already were aware of that. This is the model that we are going to try to use today. We're going to go through the components of this part. There are other models, there are new ones, there are older ones. For example, we have Johnson, which is a new one with international competence, but we're going to use this basic one that is Bachman and Palmer, okay? Which has the language knowledge, which is the same communicative competence. And they divide it into organizational knowledge and grammatical knowledge, grammatical knowledge, textual knowledge, functional, social linguistic, and strategic competence. We're going to go one by one. We're going to be talking about them. That's it. Yes. I'm going to be talking about the two first ones. My colleague is going to be talking about the three last ones. So let's start with grammatical knowledge. Okay? So that's the favorite of some teachers. Okay? With research, the research has demonstrated that most of teachers in Colombia, especially in schools, like to develop this competence in our students. And it's okay. It's not that it is bad, but it is not enough. So anyway, I'm going to be talking a little about it. Right? It has to do with lexical, with syntax, morphology, and even pronunciation. If we talk about grammar, not many people think about pronunciation, but it's also part of the grammatical component. Okay? So here you can see the evidence in a book. It could be any communicative language teaching book. Here we have, for example, grammar, the verb be with I, you, and we statements, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Okay? There we can see the evidence of grammatical competence, which is usually at the beginning of the unit, the first lesson, the first two lessons, make emphasis on this component. For example, here we have an example. If I ask a student what do Will and Tom look like, Will Smith and Tom Cruise, okay, they might say something like, Will is taller than Tom, Will has curly hair, and Tom's hair is straight. That's if we analyze and we want to grade their grammatical competence, we could say, okay, the legs is all curly hair, okay, shows the words with appropriate signification. Let's talk about the morphology, maybe, okay, the suffix, reflectional suffix, the morpheme ER, yeah, we used it correctly. Syntax, phonology, okay, the correct order of the sentence, okay. That's what we usually, or many teachers usually do. They just pay attention to that. Okay, he used this correctly, okay, the order of the words, the morpheme, okay, everything. Okay, good. Got it. Good grade. Sorry. Okay, here there is another exercise in the book that's mainly focused on vocabulary. Right. This is about morphological rules, the knowledge of morphological rules. It's a typical exercise in the book. Okay, where they have to use I don't lie. In my family we have. In this case it's kind of meaningful because they're talking about themselves. There is no like a formula. They can say, I like mornings or I don't like mornings, and they are using morphological rules because they have to conjugate the verb in the appropriate way. This is an example of syntax, okay, when they have to scramble the sentences. That's a clear example of developing syntax. Here, phonetics, when we say, for example, in this book, Austin, they speaking naturally, due the endings, when we pronounce the S, okay, to form the simple present tense, the third person singular present tense, we say, okay, they use S, okay, easy. Those are examples of these are some exercises we could use to develop this competence, like for example, beginning and ending matching parts of sentences, spelling bee for the orthographic, especially spelling. Alright. Create some semi-counterful dialogues to check, okay, where's the mother now? She's at home. Really, what's she doing? Okay? Instead of that she make lunch every day to contrast the simple present and the present continuous, that's something that is kind of control. At this level, at this stage, is okay. Some ideas to teach syntax, okay, for children, for example, when they have to describe objects and the other people have to find out what the object they're talking about. Write short sentences on the board and with on purpose with incorrect syntax, and they have to say, no, it's not this, it's like that. Or if we could use some DDR, I would like to make it like a little demonstration for volunteers, please. You have to come to the front, please. Just come. Please, yeah. Yeah. Something simple like this. Using like TPR, total physical response. Okay, let's get here. Please, everybody here. Okay. Okay, now you're going to say, move. Okay, try to organize yourself. This is a sentence. It's a sentence. You try to organize yourself. To make a sentence, you. So you have to go. Let them. Okay, is it correct? Is it okay? Okay. This is a simple exercise. Thank you very much. Thank you for your help. Very good. a very simple exercise using a little PPR, total physical response, after method. Alright. And you can come up with different ideas. You can come up with different ideas. It's not only. For example, here on the we try to teach pronunciation. There are two parts: the segmental and the supra-segmental aspect of pronunciation. We usually tend to teach more about the segmental, which is the pronunciation of the sounds, okay, and the combination of sounds. But we usually forget word stress, sentence stress, written intonation when we are in that part of the book. Okay, read, listen, and then let's go. Let's continue. Let's go to grammar. What we usually tend to say that grammar is. Okay, so here we have some. I'm going to show you some examples of that. For example, here the segmental part, which is especially pronunciation of sounds. Here the combination of sound is he, is she, student, and here the supra-segmental part. So there are different parts and we tend to. The phonetics and pronunciation is called the Cinderella of the English language speaking. So it is important to some ideas, especially for children here with phonics. Bilingual school uses a lot. To go to the States and they're trying to pursue master's degree and they want to study abroad. So this is very important because in the university they are asking for that. The development of the test of competence. Here we have audition, appearance, result. Okay. For example, some exercises that could help us. They are usually in the end of each unit. Okay. 5 things you don't know about me. Okay. I was born and raised in Bogotá, Colombia. I moved to Barranquilla. Then they have to organize this. The last stage was just at the level of the sentence. Here is more at the level of the text, of the paragraph. Okay, and they have to combine it. We have to use some linking devices to use it. Okay, this is another example here. Writing a perfect card. Okay, how can you write a perfect card? How can you start writing about the main idea, etc., etc. Okay. Some examples, more examples. Taken from the Council of Europe. Okay, here you want to develop the order of your production. For example, reading and writing text aloud. That could be visual aids, acting out, written production, writing articles, making notes, writing reports. Okay. And now the receptive, oral reception. Here we have some over that we could use to develop this competence, test of competence. Right? Okay, now my friend is going to continue talking about the pragmatic knowledge and social linguistic knowledge.
Okay, the first part of this presentation is focusing only on the grammatical knowledge all the students need to have in order to produce written texts, right? Now, the second part is about the speaking ability, okay, because they not only need that knowledge, the grammatical knowledge in text, they also need when they're going to speak, alright? So this is the first part on this, and then we're going to study the other part. The first part is the functional language, okay? What do we use language for, alright? For example, if I say, this is a function, tell what you did last night. Go ahead. Tell what you did last night.
Last night I stayed at a hotel.
Who told her to use the simple past? Did I? No, because our brain works like that. You have the language function, then you use language to produce or to convey meaning. For example, introduce yourself.
My name is Miriam.
Did I tell you to do that? No. I didn't tell her what kind of information she should provide to the rest of you. But you see, we have some language functions in the brain that they are translated into words when you speak. Alright? So we're going to study language functions. These are the language functions that we based on Halliday. Okay? Ideational, manipulative, heuristic, and imaginative function. Maybe you must be wondering, what is this? I haven't been introduced to this. Is this really, found in the textbook? Yes, it is. And I'm going to show you. Okay. What is the ideational function of language? That's the one you use when you are interacting with people. Okay? We just use it to exchange information, to create this social thing. And this is a conversation where the ideational function of language, when we tend to manipulate, right? Are you hot today? Okay, let's pretend that we have an air conditioner in here, and it's just too cold. And then someone says, "Oh, please, mister, it's kind of cold here." What did she say? What did he say? It's kind of cold in here. What's behind the words? Manipulation. She wants me to turn off the air conditioner. Did she say that? Ah, beautiful. Right? So the same happens when you are walking around the mall, holding hands with your girlfriend, payday like today for us. And you walk by Studio F, and then she says something like, "Oh my God, look at that! It's so beautiful." You know what it means? Buy it for me. That is manipulative function of language. So, in other words, you don't have to say it up front, so I can understand. Right? Because in Spanish we say, "A buen entendedor, pocas palabras." That's how we relate to this.
I would like to mention something here. Okay, that's one of the differences between developing only grammatical competence, which is what it says, is the propositional, okay, thing. It's just what you mentioned. There is no other interpretation, and trying to develop these two. Okay?
All right. And more examples. This is from the book we are following at the Colombian in Cartagena. It's Touchstone. Okay? And I like to say at this moment that this section came out after we started a field work with our students at the college level, because we are teachers for the program Licenciatura con énfasis en educación básica, con énfasis en inglés. Sorry, I got all messed up. And when we were trying to teach our students this basic knowledge, we told them, or we asked them, okay, now you have to find the evidence on the book. Bring the evidence. Teacher, how are we supposed to do that? I don't know. You have to do it. But I bring a book into the classroom and I told them, this is it, this is it, this is it. Oh, we understand now. Very easy. Blah, blah, blah. And I go like, okay, now it's your turn. Prove me that you understand the theory so you can put it in practice. The reason we're trying to do this is that we don't want the students to rely on the book, because that's what teachers tend to do sometimes. We tend to rely on the book. So imagine a world without books. What are we going to do? Create your own material. But you need to know this so you know exactly what you're going to teach. Otherwise, you're going to be lost. Okay? All right, more examples of language functions. As you can see, there are a lot of them on the books. I will leave you a homework after this session. Go and find them in your books. And let us know if you found them. All right, so the first part was about language functions. How we use language, okay? But remember, language can be isolated. So that's why under pragmatic knowledge we have two subcompetencies: language function and sociolinguistic. And sociolinguistics has to do with the fact how we use the language in context. How we use it in context. Because language cannot be isolated. That's why I always advise my students, do not teach vocabulary decontextualized. Is it good to teach vocabulary decontextualized? Like, for example, if you just put a word on the board, give me an example. Like chair. Chair. Put a chair on the board. Now, 2 weeks later, I ask the same student, I want you to construct a sentence using the word chair. I don't know what it means, chair. Is he going to use chair someday in his life? Not. You know why? Because you forgot to teach him when, how to use it. Alright, so language is for use. It is not intended to be isolated. The same happens with teaching vocabulary. Okay. Now, under sociolinguistics, we have to understand dialects, English priorities, alright, and idiomatic expressions. Those are the things that follow under that category. Okay? Take a look at that one. We have been talking about language varieties, English varieties, during these contests this year. How about that? That is a variety of English. Ebonics. So let's say that one of your students go to the South in the United States. Let's say, for example, South Carolina, somewhere in South Carolina. And, he's going to encounter some African Americans. What's going to happen? He's not going to be prepared, believe me. Bo, what's up? Bo. I'm not Bob, I'm Sergio. They don't know what Bo means. Right? I don't know if you saw this movie with this guy. I always try to remember the name, but I can't. Anyways, Tucker. Tucker, his last name is Tucker. Chris Tucker, there you go. He played this movie with Charlie Sheen. And in the movie, he goes to this beautiful party with rich people. And Charlie Sheen told them, do not say the word fat in front of my girlfriend. She's very sensitive in terms of weight. And he goes like, oh, look at you! You are so fat! And Charlie Sheen looks at him like, what the heck did I tell you not to do that? But fat for African Americans doesn't mean fat being overweighted. It has a different meaning. And that is at the level of word choice. You know exactly when to use the words with the people. Right? It's like register. Sometimes I know when I can say, what up? How you doing? How have you been? How are you? What's the lady? You know that, right? Okay. This is a way to find register on the book. The register is, when the students learn how to speak informally and informally. And sometimes you don't have to tell them, oh, this morning we are going to learn how to speak informally in English. No, just go there. And guess what? They're learning sociolinguistic competence and they don't know that. They're unaware. They don't know what they're doing. But when you have role plays, this is when you can see all this information in place. If you tell them, okay, you work at a bank, you are the ATM, the teller, the other one is the customer, whatever. And when they greet, what do they say? Do they say, what's up? They know they have to use, how are you? But before they say good morning, and the other one is going to say, may I help you? Or what can I do for you? How do they know that? You don't have to teach them that. They pick it out by themselves. Okay, sometimes this information is inferred. But look at here. Is it here deductively or inductively? Is it the register is explained here deductively or inductively? Are you sure? Look, I got it right here. More formal, less formal. I'm spoon feeding everybody. I got it right there. I don't have to tell them. It's right there. And they know that. Okay? And this is the bookmark. Touchstone 1 at the Colombian. Very simple. So that information is over there. It's an evidence. Okay. Idiomatic expressions. Think about this one, and I don't know if you know this one. I was watching a movie lately, and someone said in the movie, da-da-da-da, bought the farm. And you know what it means to buy the farm? For example, hey Sergio, what's up? I'm doing all right. How are you? I'm pretty good. Hey, what about your dad? Oh, he bought the farm. So, if you don't know this idiomatic expression, the next question is, really? How much? Man, you made a huge mistake. Because buying the farm doesn't mean that your father actually bought a farm. He's dead. That's what it means. So, idiomatic expressions are very important. Okay? And sometimes we have to teach our students how to use idiomatic expressions. One of the things I always tell my students, they cannot be translated literally, because they don't make sense. How about this one? A crib. Hey, let's go to my crib. Is it me or I didn't understand? Tienes una cuna. Not really. I'm not talking about that kind of crib. Right? Or how about the holy cow?
Yes.
How about high five? Yeah, high five means chocolate. Pound. Right? Idiomatic expressions. Right. Hey, give me 5. You are lucky. I think I got some. There you go. Did I mean that? No. I wanted my friend to agree with me on something. That's what I meant. Oh, by the way, it's not my money. I'm holding this for a friend. Okay, so as you can see, idiomatic expressions are also part of this sociolinguistic competence. Okay, how about analyze expressions in movies? They are full of that. Sometimes the English we teach in the classroom is not real English. It's text-based English, but not real English. The more real life English you bring to the classroom, the better for your students. At the Colombian we have Touchstone 4, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Unit 4 or 5 is about law and order. And when I'm teaching that class, I don't know, there's 1, 2, 3 Americans, any other American? I don't know. Yeah, you too. How about, do you know Judge Judy?
Yes.
I love that woman. So, when I'm teaching that, I don't teach my students that vocabulary. We go straight to that movie. She has a TV series, Judge Judy. It's like a court TV program. Excellent. You know what kind of vocabulary they're going to listen to over there? The real one. Like we say, the real deal. The real one. And they are seeing it, by the way, right there. But the text is different. Okay? And you can also rely to Judge Brown. That's another one. I like that guy. Okay? But it's just trying to pin it down to whatever you're teaching. Find a video on YouTube. That's what I've been listening to from the other presenters, to use real English, the web, videos. There's a lot. I found an application for iPhone from the New York Times to teach English. Excellent. Excellent idea to teach reading. And also, if you want to further that activity, make it into a written activity too. It's excellent. Okay? Okay. The strategic competence wasn't on the framework that we showed you at first. I remember there was a little arrow right here, and then strategic competence. Okay? Because in the Beckman-Palmer's framework of language ability use, they don't mention strategic competence, but they acknowledge that exists, right? So, strategic competence is what we do in order to prevent breakdowns in communication. And this part, I love it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because sometimes, when we are assessing students at the level of speaking, we tend to be unfair. And I'm going to tell you why. Well, it happens sometimes when we are in the middle of an oral exam that we don't like our students to say something like, and stuff like that. That's not proper English. Who said that? Who said what English is proper and what English is not? Who said that? You know, linguistically speaking, there is a battle out there because they don't know what standard English is anymore. Any English is a standard right now. So who told you that and stuff like that cannot be said by a student in an oral exam? I remember I had a student in class one day, no, not in class, during an oral exam. And I guess it was book 3 or something like that. I can't remember right now, I can't recall. So anyways, I asked this student, tell me, what do you do over the weekend? I went to the movies. All right. And I said, excellent time to ask him about the movie. So let's see how much information he can recall on the movie. So next question. Tell me about the movie. Oh, teacher, the movie was great, excellent. It is about this guy and in this house. Big house. And 2 men, bad men. And look at me, everything I do from now on. 2 bad men. And then they came to the house, teacher, they came to the house with, he didn't know how to say guns. So he used this. And then he said, and they found a man, and they bam. So another teacher, lacking that kind of knowledge, you know what's going to do? Flunk the student. I'm sorry, it hurts. But I'm telling you the real truth. You're going to flunk the student. Number 1, he didn't remember vocabulary. Number 2, he didn't express his sentences in the correct way. And he didn't speak appropriately. Now, how many times in Spanish you're going to find people talking like that? Don't tell me. I'm a genius. 1,000 times. Do you think they're not going to do it in English? Who told you? They're not. They will. They will. So, he was using his sociolinguistic competence to prevent breakdowns in communication. He wanted to convey meaning anyhow. And we have to understand that, and you have to acknowledge that. Okay? Because sociolinguistic is about linguistic and non-linguistic means that we use to convey meaning. Hey, how did it go on the test? Did I have to express myself in words? No. Or how about these 2 kids at school? I'm a see outside school. That's what it means. Right? Find outside. Well, what about this one? for African Americans in the United States. What up? But even if you just do, boop, that's it. Excellent. You have to acknowledge sociolinguistic competence. I mean, strategic competence. Okay. Take a look at this one at the level of the book. To get help from someone in the classroom, that student is asking the other one, what's the word for this in English? Like, for example, what's the word for this in English? I don't know what it is, and I ask, what's the word for this in English? That's a strategic competence, right? How about this one? And you're going to find more. Lots of them. Okay? Showing interest. That's another strategic competence. When you teach your students to use really, wow, showing interest. But they can be used for other linguistic purposes. To keep a conversation going, to show the other person you're interested in what they're saying. So as you can see, it's pretty broad. How about this one? Asking questions 2 ways. Oh my God, I really hate that topic. Because it's in book 1, and it's kind of hard for the students to ask questions in 2 ways. It's pretty hard. Maybe some of you, if you're not related to the book, you may not understand what I'm trying to say right here, but it's kind of complicated to teach this topic to the students because they don't have the sufficient metalinguistic knowledge to ask different questions. So, I don't know. It's pretty hard. Anyways. How about this strategic competence here? Example. When you say, I mean, you know what I mean means?